I was thinking maybe we should just do the 2024 edition of free agency because that was really fun, right? We had Barkley and we had Henry and Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon and all these great players going everywhere. This year is going to be a little bit different, but you know what? We could get some big blockbuster trades. We're going to talk about that possibility. Maybe Tyreek Hill. Obviously, Cooper Kupp could be on the move. And there will be a lot of interesting stuff that goes down. Welcome, everybody, to our free agency preview. We'll talk about some of the best destinations for the best free agents and give you a whole bunch of scenarios and how it would affect the rankings. Dave, you got a lot of responsibility today. It's just you. You're the only analyst. You're wearing an interesting shirt. Let's see that shirt. There's idiot on it. What's up with that?
It's a Vegas Matt shirt. So
I know that is
a little bit of an homage to the greatest YouTube gambler on the planet. Props to Vegas Matt, EJ, WBG, W2 Jesus, and all the rest of the crew.
Okay. Okay. So, Dave, who's your favorite free agent other than T. Higgins, who the Bengals are going to try to re-sign?
You took away my favorite free agent who's not going to end up being a free agent. And I think my second favorite free agent is also going to be someone who won't get away from their team, and that's Chris Godwin. And once you get away from those two guys, the rest of the players who are free agents, it's not that exciting. It's Najee Harris, J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle. I could keep going. Stephon Diggs is a free agent. Houston likes him. They say they want to bring him back. Keenan Allen. Amari Cooper, is he still good? The best tight end that's a free agent is Zach Ertz. The way you started the show is probably it's dead on accurate is what it is. It's not a great free agency crop. It's the players who are cap casualties, maybe the players who might hold out, players that are entering a contract year and the teams don't want to necessarily give them more money. Those are the guys. They might be on the move. Players like Kyle Pitts, players like Chris Olave. If those types of guys end up getting moved, George Pickens is on that list. Those are the guys that are a lot more exciting for fantasy managers.
Yeah, but also the quarterbacks. You got good veteran quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. You've got Aaron Rodgers, who's going to get released by the Jets. Maybe Matthew Stafford on the move. Justin
Good is doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Well, I think they could be. I'm not saying that they themselves would be good for fantasy, but they could be good for a passing game, and they could be upgrades over current quarterback situations for a lot of teams. And Justin Fields was actually the number 10 quarterback per game in 6-point per passing touchdown league. I'm sure he was even better than that in 4-point per passing touchdown leagues in his 6 starts with the Steelers. His first 2 starts were really bad for fantasy, and after that, he was pretty good. Jamie's joining us. Oh, what a nice surprise. All right, so actually it was supposed to be me, Dave, Jamie, Heath today. Heath is traveling. Jamie's internet was supposed to be out. He had an issue with his internet, but it's back. What's up, Jamie?
What's up, guys?
All right.
That means the internet wasn't the issue. It must have been something else that was
believe me.
keeping him. Was there a good show on that you wanted to watch, or the dog needed to go out, or something else that was keeping you?
Nothing.
All right. Well, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. Ruff. That dog sounds amazing.
I've been waiting to drop that soundbite. All right. Anyway, we'll get into some free agency scenarios in a second. Real quick.
People are going to have questions about that. You just let it totally go. Ruff.
So we were doing a mic check last week, and Jamie's dog started barking. And then I was like, Dave, give me a mic check. And he goes,
Ruff. And then I immediately said, you're going to turn that into a soundbite, aren't you?
It was so fun. It was really good. So we've got a new dog drop for whenever the pup list comes out. Real quick, injury new and note. The Eagles promoted passing game coordinator Kevin Patullo to offensive coordinator. And remember, Sirianni, he is an offensive head coach, but last year he kind of gave the authority to Kellen Moore. So it's not like one of those situations where, Kevin Stefanski changed his offensive coordinator or something like that. So what do you guys think about Kevin Patullo as the new Eagles coordinator?
Don't screw it up.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's what it comes down to. I think that there's obviously potential for a step back from when they gave the reins to Kellen Moore. That's an established play caller. That's somebody who's been, involved in different types of offenses with different types of quarterbacks. And he made it work for Philadelphia. I'm always a little skeptical about coordinators that follow somebody else's playbook. I don't know if that's for sure happening, but I would guess that that's happening in Philadelphia, and that makes me nervous. So I'm not running away from Eagles yet, but it's another log on the fire to suggest that maybe Philadelphia, certainly elements of that run game in general, could take a step back next year.
All right, we'll see what happens. We have an Eagles fan producing today. We have Debo filling in. Schaefer's been on vacation, having a nice little week off.
Slacker.
Some of our best shows, I'd have to say. Anyway, let's do some quick fill in the blank. I want to see blank go to the blank.
Schaefer, go to your house and punch you in the face.
I want to see JB go to the bathroom. No, I've already done that.
Whoa!
What else?
Always my favorite story.
There's your new soundbite. You can have me barking all you want.
What else? I want to see blank.
Please, somebody in the audience send that.
They changed the stalls in the office because of you.
Yeah, I know. You're welcome. Much better stalls now.
I want to see something that's realistic or something that's just like.
Yeah, relatively realistic.
I mean,
I can see Najee Harris to the Browns.
Want to see that?
You're
not filling in the blank.
If I see that makes it easier to just completely bypass Najee Harris until like round 7 on draft day.
All right. You guys aren't answering the question. So I want to see Chris Godwin go to the Steelers. And let me tell you why. I don't really want to draft Chris Godwin. I don't like any players coming off serious leg injuries. So I'd rather him go to a place where I don't have to find him that interesting. And I'd rather him just go somewhere other than Tampa Bay so I can buy into Jalen McMillan. I basically want to be out on Chris Godwin and have a good excuse for it. I don't want him to screw up Jalen McMillan. So I want to see Chris Godwin go basically anywhere where he won't matter with a bad pass offense.
Sure. That's fair. How about T. Higgins getting away from Cincinnati after all? I would like to see him go to Buffalo and kind of be the number 1 receiver there. And Buffalo actually makes the change to have a number 1 top target getter, and T. Higgins is that guy for Josh Allen. That would be very fun. That could put him quite easily in the top 10 conversation at wide receiver.
Okay. And let's go to our next fill in the blank. I don't want to see blank go to the blank.
Chris Godwin go to the Steelers.
I don't want to see Najee go to the Cowboys.
Ooh, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Well, now I feel like it was a terrible idea for me to say that. But any running back that goes to Dallas, I kind of feel like the knee-jerk reaction is to go overboard for. Because I still think the Cowboys' offensive line is good. They need to do something to take pressure off of Dak Prescott in the passing game. And Najee Harris has been somebody who has handled a large workload each of his first 4 years. I don't think he's missed a game. He's had over 1,000 yards each in his first 4 seasons. And I wonder if the old school thinking in Dallas would gravitate toward that. And if they do, and Najee's their main guy, is that going to make us more inclined? Is it going to make fantasy managers more inclined to take him sooner than they should? I would not like to see that happen. I'd much rather they go get Janty in the draft and we go crazy for him.
I don't want to see any running back go to the Bengals. And I don't think I want to see a wide receiver go to the Commanders. So pick your favorite wide receiver. I think that would be almost like a Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson situation where we're going, who's going to be better?
You want to see a receiver go to the Commanders?
Not for Terry McLaurin's sake. No.
I think Godwin in Washington makes a lot of sense.
I think I'd be fine with that, for McLaurin, but I think ideally I feel like McLaurin, if he's gonna, where does he get drafted? Where's he been going? Like the 3rd round, 4th round?
4th round.
Yeah. If he's gonna live up, like be a borderline top 12 receiver, I don't want to see them bring in any serious competition there. because it's already going to be a low volume pass offense, I think. And I don't think it's going to be a great destination necessarily for a free agent wide receiver, although the free agent wide receivers aren't so great. So,
Right. You almost want to see Washington add one of the lesser tier but still well-known wide receivers that are going to be available. Hollywood Brown, maybe Deontay Johnson if he's got his mind right. Christian Kirk could get cut by the Jaguars. What if he's the low rent version of Chris Godwin? He's not going to go for nearly as much money as Godwin. They could get him. And okay, now fantasy managers could see one of these receivers that's going to easily be a round 8+ pick come in, and maybe they give you a few weeks of wide receiver 3 production.
All right. Well, thank you for some quick fill in the blank. We'll do some scenarios shortly. I want to tell you about our other podcasts in the CBS Sports Podcast Network. If you go to cbssports.com/podcasts, you'll see what we have to offer. So we've got Pushing the Pile, which is a great NFL podcast with Kyle Long, obviously a former All-Pro offensive lineman, and Mike Renner, who's a longtime football analyst. So that's a great podcast if you want to just learn about some football. Got Cover 3 for college football with the first pick to get you ready for the NFL draft. Got The Early Edge, which is a daily betting podcast for you. Now is a great time to be listening to the Eye on College Basketball podcast. We have so many more podcasts. Just go to cbssports.com/podcasts and subscribe. I would like to thank the Fantasy Sports and Gaming Association, FSGA, and thank Dan Schneier, who is out there accepting.
And Joel Cox.
Yes, thank you for accepting our award. Very honored to have won best audio show. There were 3 categories of best audio show. We won the enterprise category, Fantasy Football Today. So this is a real big honor to be the 2024 winner of the FSGA.
That's the largest category. They do it by size of publication.
Right. Enterprise is the largest. They have enterprise, mid-sized, and startup. And there might be a picture floating around of Dan Schneier accepting the award, and he looks like he's on steroids. He's jacked. I told him he's on roids. So
that was the last thought I would have ever had when I saw that picture.
He looks huge.
He did look like he's buffed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Really?
Too big for tennis.
I didn't notice that whatsoever.
It's not a good tennis physique. He's in trouble.
It's cool that we won a trophy. Jamie, do you think that when we won the podcast awards that there was a trophy that we got?
I don't know.
The answer is yes. Take a look. If you're on YouTube, on my little screen, here it is, the podcast awards trophy. Nice. You guys helped us get this. We will cherish it forever.
Dan Gamer Eric says Dan was wearing a Schmedium shirt. Yes, we do know Dan likes to go short on go small on the shirt size. All right, we're gonna take a break.
Dan was very nervous about this trip. He's never gone to represent our company before, and he said he asked me. He said, "Any tips for when I go out there?" I said, "Yes. Walk up to people and say, 'Hello, my name is Dan.'"
Did you say hello? My name is Dan, or hello? My name is Dan.
However he wanted to say it.
He wasn't.
Said, what do I say next?
He was having a great time.
Just wing it.
That's how
I lost $500.
That's how people would know him. Dan. All right, we're gonna take a break and come back and do some fun free agency scenarios after this on FFT.
Gives it to Jenkins for the championship. A 16 beats a 1. From sweet to elite to the Final Four.
All right, so I'm going to throw out some scenarios involving free agents and or trades. And
Here we go, yo. So what are the scenarios?
Scenarios. Yeah, I'm going to say scenarios a lot today. So keep that, and we'll do a count. Like, how many times can I say it? So scenarios where it's either free agent or a big time player on the trade market. I'll tell you where they go, and you tell me how the rankings change, how your rankings change. Ready? Tyreek Hill to the Chargers.
Tyreek Hill becomes a round 4 pick, and Jalen Waddle becomes a round 4 pick.
Round 4, he goes to the Chargers. That's it, man. All right.
You think he should go higher or lower?
Yeah, I'd be.
I think he goes higher, but maybe 1 round higher. And I would imagine that Waddle would be right behind him. like maybe like 5 picks behind him, because now we're talking about Waddle as the number 1 target in Miami. I think they'd be both round 3 picks. I'd go a little higher than Jamie on both of them.
You think that's a positive move for Tyreek Hill?
I don't think it's that much of a positive move for Tyreek Hill, but it's nice that he's going somewhere. I don't buy into the Chargers being this crazy run heavy team anymore. They kind of showed it in the middle and end of last year that they are willing to ride their quarterback, and it makes perfect sense that they would do it. And if they're investing in Tyreek Hill, I don't know how much they're going to invest in a running back. I don't think they're in the Janty Derby. Is there any other running back in this draft class that's going to completely turn around what the Chargers did for the last 2/3 of the season? I don't think so. I think that they're a Justin Herbert.
Their successful stretch of their season was when J.K. Dobbins was rolling for them, so they didn't need to go spend a lot of capital on a running back to have a good run game.
But Dave is right. I mean, they became a much more pass-heavy team.
I just don't know if that's necessarily their true identity. I mean, it kind of coincided when their running game fell apart because Dobbins missed 4 games.
Sure.
I don't think he's going to go in the 4th round, though. I mean, that like I would not have waited until the 4th. I guess you're lower on Tyreek Hill, but I just thought.
Well, I mean, taking a 31-year-old receiver who started to show some flaws last year and putting him on another team that's still, I think, going to be more balanced than pass heavy. I don't think this is all of a sudden like a win for him.
No, they're not like the Bengals. That's fair. But I still think that I think they'll be minimum top half. Maybe this is more to your point, Jamie, but top half in the league in pass rate next year.
Oh, I'd say bottom half.
I'm going to tell you right now, any serious move they make at wide receiver will tell me that they want to lean on Justin Herbert at least as much as they did toward the end of last season.
Okay, but Tyreek Hill, he goes to the Chargers. Who's the highest ranked receiver? Waddle, Hill, or McConkey?
Waddle.
Could be Waddle.
Oh, interesting. Okay. McConkey, who's the second? Rank them.
It would be Waddle, Hill, McConkey.
I might take McConkey over Hill. McConkey did what he did last year on an average of 7 targets per game.
All right. Next up, and then Justin Herbert would be a winner as well. Next up, T. Higgins to the Patriots.
Ugh.
Nah, come on now. I don't know
That's
about
the
that.
end of Kendrick Bourne.
You got it. He's a clear-cut number 1 with an hopefully emerging quarterback. I don't hate it. And they got the most cap space, by the way. So this one's actually somewhat realistic here. So
they said they're going to make a big run at him.
Yeah, T. Higgins to the Patriots. Give me your rankings adjustments.
He goes from a round 3 pick to a round 5 pick.
Wow.
I won't be that bearish, but I do agree that he takes a slide. On the positives are he's still going to see a lot of targets. He'll be the clear-cut number 1 guy. He averaged 9 targets per game last year, and he was awesome. He'll have plenty of opportunities. Drake May could take a step forward. I don't know where the Patriots defense is going to be, so there could be a lot of games where Drake May is going to have to throw it a lot. And T. Higgins could still end up being 18 PPR points per game is too high. 15. I think he can get to 15. And that's a dude that you can still rank as a top 15, 16, 17 wide receiver on draft day. Round 4. I'll go a round higher than Jamie again.
Would this make Drake May the highest ranked second-year quarterback other than Jaden Daniels?
No.
It'd be close. It's already close now.
Yeah.
May's fantasy appeal is as much for his legs as it is for his arm.
Sure.
Do you guys think that T. Higgins is a number 1 receiver?
Yes. When you look at some of these teams in the NFL, yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's fair. He's coming off such a good year, but I just wonder if he's like kind of Kenny Galladay, like just not really.
See, that's my fear, is that he gets a big paycheck somewhere without a clearly established quarterback at this point. And I'm afraid he's going to get overdrafted. But in terms of, is he a number 1 receiver? I mean, you look at, he's better than anybody in the Packers. He's better than
anybody on the Patriots.
He's better than anybody in the Patriots. I would say he's better. I mean, the Raiders, you look at the number 1 guys around the league. He's obviously more established than anybody in the Cardinals. You can make a case he's a better receiver than Garrett Wilson, who's number 1 now in the Jets. Like, yes, he's a number 1
Okay,
receiver.
that's right. I wonder if people would Is he a better receiver than Garrett Wilson? I don't know. It's hard to know the answer to this.
If T. Higgins goes to the Patriots, who do you draft first? T. Higgins on the Patriots or Garrett Wilson on the Jets?
Who's the quarterback for the Jets? That's the biggest question.
It could be Tyrod.
I have a Jets quarterback scenario coming up, but all right, we'll get to that. Next scenario, Najee Harris to the Cincinnati Bengals and the Steelers re-sign Jaylen Warren.
Well, Warren's already on the team, so.
Well, he's a restricted free agent.
Yeah. So
it's very likely he stays. Like someone else is going to have to sign him to a big contract that the Steelers decide not to.
Are you saying who's the best running back on these two teams?
Yeah, how did your rankings change? Najee Harris to the Bengals, Steelers keep and give a new deal to Jaylen Warren.
Oh, man.
Chase Brown, Jaylen Warren, Najee Harris.
Right, but where are we dropping in this scenario? They bring in a guy like
Chase Brown loses big in this scenario.
Of course.
He goes to probably round 4-ish. Jaylen Warren 5 and Najee Harris 7 or 8.
Sounds about right.
Najee Harris has the second most carries in the NFL since he came into the league 4 seasons ago. Who has the most? The guy who's
over
missed,
that 4 year span.
The guy who's missed half a season, by the way.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah, Derrick Henry. Najee Harris has 0 carries of 40 yards in that stretch. All right, I don't want him to go to the Bengals. That'd be bad. Next scenario: Chris Godwin to the Rams and Cooper Kupp to the Houston Texans. So we got Chris Godwin going to the Rams and Kupp to the Texans. What's any big moves in your rankings with those two things?
I like that for Godwin, assuming Stafford's still there.
I love it for Godwin. Putting him in the Puka role, he basically, or in the Kupp role rather, excuse me. That's what he did last year. Averaged 19 PPR points per game, almost 20. And his injury isn't a soft tissue injury; it was a bone, right?
Dislocated ankle.
That's right.
Still really bad.
It's bad, but he should be able to come back from that faster than he came back from the torn ACL, even at 29 years of age.
I know. It's Tony Pollard broken leg, Tank Dell broken leg.
I'd be excited. I'd be really excited about Godwin.
Yeah, this is a good one. And look, Kupp to Houston, they're going to probably go get some veteran. It wouldn't surprise me if it's Kupp, if it's Samuel, somebody that's tied to someone associated with the McVay or Shanahan tree.
Yep.
And they showed that they were aggressive with it last year by going out against Stephon Diggs. So assuming that, Dell's not ready to go and Diggs does not return, Kupp could have some value there.
But I'd be worried about Kupp for the entire season.
Oh, I'm not drafting him high, but I think it's a good landing spot.
Sure. Like, is he a Band-Aid for Houston if let's just say they also find a way to keep Stephon Diggs on the cheap? And so there's going to come a time where both Diggs and Dell, I don't know when it'll be for Dell, it could be like December, but they come back. And then Cooper Kupp, becomes their number 4 receiver or something.
Okay, ready for the next one? Couple of quarterbacks here. Matthew Stafford to the Giants and Aaron Rodgers to the Rams.
I'd like Rodgers better.
I would too, but it would make me just as excited for Neighbors and Nakua. Like, I don't think I would drop either of those guys very much.
I was going to ask, would you swap them? Would you put Neighbors ahead of Nakua?
I don't think I'm ready to do that, but I do like them both quite a bit, obviously.
Man, that's a tough one. I think Stafford is definitely a better quarterback than Rodgers at this point, but I don't know. I mean, Rodgers was playing hurt last year. Rodgers, will obviously have a big upgrade in this scenario. Going to the Rams, have a big upgrade in offensive coordinator. I think he still has. I mean, I said it a few weeks ago. I think he still has some good football left. But Stafford played pretty well last year when he had Puka healthy.
He definitely. He's played well when healthy the last few seasons in Los Angeles. Sure. He's never played in an outdoor home stadium, so that'll be interesting if he goes that route. Can Rodgers hold up is the question. I'd be very surprised if the Rams let Stafford leave.
Yeah, like, I don't get all the squabble about that.
Well, I mean, it's his agent posturing to try and get him more money, and look, any team that needs a quarterback is going to kick the tires there if they
Sure.
aren't at the top of the draft.
All right, we got one more quarterback scenario, a couple more, and then we'll move to the other positions. Justin Fields to the Jets, and the Steelers bring back Russell Wilson. Justin Fields to the Jets, Steelers bring back Wilson.
Fields over Wilson.
Again, Garrett Wilson versus George Pickens. Who do you like better?
I'd still take Wilson over Pickens, but they'd be a lot closer than they are right now.
If everything else stays the same, so no other receivers added to Pittsburgh,
right,
or the Jets of significance, assuming that Adams is gone, I would take Pickens over Wilson. Pickens in the first 6 games before he had the hamstring injury, scored 16 PPR points or more 4 times.
Yeah.
Is that for the first 6 with Russ or just overall?
For the first 6 with Russ.
With Russ. Yeah, I actually broke it down. So he had 6 games with Justin Fields. I'll just give you his 17 games.
His numbers with Wilson when he was healthy were good.
Yeah, it's funny actually because 6 games with Justin Fields. George Pickens was on pace for 74 catches, 1,028 yards, 0 touchdowns on 125 targets.
9.9 PPR points per game.
He played 8 games in the regular season with Russell Wilson. If you want to take all 8 games, including the last 2, which were terrible, he was also on pace for 125 targets. He was on pace for 70 catches compared to 74 with Fields, and about 120 more yards.
And more touchdowns.
More touchdowns.
Yeah.
But Jamie's right. Before that hamstring injury, he was crushing it. He was on pace for 82 catches, 1,380 yards, 8 touchdowns on only 130 targets. So that's really impressive what he did before the injury. Then the last 2 games were terrible, but playoff game was really good. 5 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown against the Ravens on only 5 targets. So it's interesting. I wanted to bring that up to see if you'd be moved to move Pickens ahead of Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, again, assuming that nothing else changes for their receiving cores respectively, I'd rather have Pickens with Wilson than Wilson with Fields.
All right. Last one, Jameis Winston to the Raiders.
Assuming there's no other receivers added, then Jacoby Myers is awesome, and Trey Turner might be awesome, and Brock Bowers is easily a number 1 tight end.
I'm not drafting Jameis in a 1 QB league.
Let me ask you this. If Jameis Winston goes to the Raiders, would you draft Jacoby Myers ahead of Jaden Reed?
Yes.
I'm already doing that.
Would you draft him ahead of Rome Odunze?
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's my buyer beware on the Jameis thing, because obviously he's great for fantasy. He always gets benched because he throws so many interceptions.
Sure. So like part of the equation is if they get Jameis, are they also drafting Jackson Dart or one of the other quarterbacks that's not named Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders?
Yeah.
Because if they're doing that, Jameis will be there for 4 games. They'll get sick of him just like every other coach gets sick of their of Jameis.
The irony is that the Bucs replaced Jameis with Brady, and now Brady would be in control of Jameis's future.
Yeah. I wonder how much. Yeah. I don't know how much influence Brady has there.
I'd be a little surprised if Pete Carroll went that route.
All right. Well, I wouldn't be surprised if Pete Carroll said, you know what? Let's take a break. We'll come back and talk about wide receivers and running backs and where they might go. We got some fun scenarios to play out for you. We'll be right back on Fantasy Football Today.
Yeah, we always find a way back home.
Okay, free agent running backs. We've got Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, a restricted free agent. We could see J.K. Dobbins, Rico Dowdle, Aaron Jones in different spots next year. So how about J.K. Dobbins goes to the Raiders and Rico Dowdle goes to the Chargers to replace Dobbins. Dobbins to the Raiders, Dowdle to the Chargers.
I like both those moves, given the scenarios for both. I don't think you want to overdraft either one. Dowdle would definitely be exciting with the Chargers. I think anybody that goes to the Chargers is going to have some upside, so whether it's a rookie, at least a prominent one, we saw one that they drafted last year that couldn't get on the field. But if they address that backfield, it's still going to be one of the better offensive lines. I think that's another thing that the Chargers continue to do is work on the interior of the line because they fix their tackles.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and any running back that ends up in that offense is going to be fun. I'm curious to see like what Minnesota does, if they move on from Aaron Jones, because that's another offensive, system that can be really good for whatever running back ends up there.
All right. Did anything you want to add there? Dowdle to the Chargers, Dobbins to the Raiders. We're good.
Yeah, I wouldn't be super excited about either one of them because I would assume that there would be another running back working with each of them in both of those situations. I don't think Dobbins would be handed the keys. We've seen Pete Carroll do that many times, but I don't think he would do that there. Did you catch that Aaron Jones moved back his void date with the Vikings, just like Godwin did?
Yep.
Makes me think he might stay.
He should stay. Aaron Jones.
I'd be thrilled if he did.
Aaron Jones was the number, I want to say 19 running back per game. He was, number 19 per game in both non and full PPR. He was RB12 per game overall in full PPR, 16th overall in non-PPR. He is 30 years old, but he had a good year. A career low 4.5 yards per carry for Aaron Jones. So
yeah, good. They need somebody else there.
Well, they only gave him 255 carries in 17 games, so they will have a platoon there. They obviously felt like they couldn't run him into the ground. All right, speaking of Aaron, well, I have an Aaron Jones one later. Let's do this. Davante Adams to Washington.
Oh,
So when I hear you say that, it makes me feel like you don't really believe Davante Adams has much left in the tank.
I don't.
Okay.
I think he's got something left in the tank. I don't think he can ever go back to being what he was 3 years ago.
So you would keep McLaurin ahead of him for sure.
No, I mean,
yeah, I don't know if I would do that.
Look, Davante Adams is I'm obviously going to an extreme. Davante Adams is a very good player. He showed that he could still produce with Rodgers. The second half of that Jacksonville game was one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. How he performed in that outing, for example. But like Dave said, how much does he have left? And he's now turning the dreaded 32 years old. Would now be going with another quarterback, another offense coordinator. Trying to mesh with another wide receiver that has some upside and an established resume at this point. So, it's not a bad move by Washington because you're getting a significant upgrade over what they had of Noah Brown and Diami Brown and all those guys there, Zacchaeus and all those players. But I'd rather see like a compliment to McLaurin. Like I said, Godwin to me makes a lot of sense there.
Right. Okay. How about this one? Davante Adams to Green Bay.
I'd feel better about that than Davante Adams in Washington.
Would you take, let's say Davante Adams goes to Green Bay. He'd be the first receiver drafted for the Packers, right? He'd be ahead of Jaden Reed.
Yeah. I'd worry about volume. He's a volume receiver at this point.
Would you take Davante Adams
8+ targets a game? I would worry about him getting overdrafted and not being worth the price tag.
Davante Adams on the Packers or Cortland Sutton?
Everything stays the same in Denver?
Mm-hmm.
Sutton.
I think I'd go Sutton as well, but it's very close.
Davante Adams or DK Metcalf? Davante Adams on the Packers or Metcalf?
Again, stays the same?
Yeah, I think everything stays the same.
Lockett might not be there. He's another guy that could be a cap casualty.
Staying the same.
No, but what if he gets replaced by somebody who's...
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're doing like we're drafting. Okay, this scenario is the trade just happened. Davante Adams is going to the Packers tomorrow.
I'll take Adams over Metcalf.
Okay. I think I would too.
All right, next up. Oh, by the way, in that scenario, Jordan Love or Jared Goff?
Goff.
Jordan Love or Justin Herbert?
Herbert.
Same.
Let me see, just weird. Oh, you take Herbert over him even without?
Well, I mean, you just gave Herbert Tyreek Hill.
No, he doesn't have Tyreek Hill. That was 10 minutes ago. It doesn't exist anymore. All right. Next up.
This is why we're award-winning, folks.
Keenan Allen to the Bengals.
Yeah.
To replace T. Higgins. Let's say to replace T. Higgins.
33.
Is that his age or his ranking?
Both.
33 would be good for his ranking. I'd rank him a little lower than that, but he'd be right back in that spot to get 7-8 targets a game.
Does Gesicki stay in this scenario?
Yeah, everything.
Well, he's a free agent.
Like Gesicki's free agent. That's
Maybe they do keep him because All's hurt.
Sure. Gesicki stays.
then I like Gesicki a lot.
I would like Gesicki a lot
He
too.
was awesome when T. Higgins wasn't there.
But Keenan Allen would still be a good bench receiver.
He would do what he did last year. He had 3 or 4 good games.
Right.
Christian
He'd be fine as like, I'd say round 10. Maybe he'd get pushed into round 9 in PPR.
All right. So Christian Kirk, there's a solid chance. I think there was a report I saw yesterday or today that the Jaguars might cut him. So Christian Kirk goes back to Arizona.
They could save up to $16 million if they cut him as a June 1st designation. So yes, there's definitely a chance that he's gone. He goes back to Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I'd be real interested in drafting him.
I mean, look, he'd be a decent number 4 receiver.
Would he affect Trey McBride or Marvin Harrison Jr. in your rankings at all if the Cardinals added
I don't think so.
Christian Kirk?
No, but it's certainly an upgrade over what Michael Wilson and those other guys have done because he's more established and proven.
Right. He would take over for Dortch in the slot.
I wonder if Christian Kirk were just a free agent, right? And he was on these, you can look up free agency lists anywhere, right? We have one on CBSSports.com. Where would he rank? He would obviously be behind T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, but I think he might be more desirable than, am I forgetting anyone, than any other free agent wide receiver like Keenan Allen or Stephon Diggs coming off a torn ACL.
Are you including Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp?
I wasn't, but sure, why not? Like all these guys.
I think Kirk is more desirable than those guys to NFL teams.
Yeah, I don't know about for 1 year, but if you're going to sign a guy to a multi-year deal, not that Kirk is all that young. He's 28, but that's a good age. But he's competing with a bunch, like the wide receiver market is T. Higgins, Chris Godwin coming off a dislocated ankle, and a bunch of old guys, basically. Right?
Kirk's coming off an injury too. It's just, his shoulder. Am I tripping?
I don't remember.
He had banged up each of the last 2 years. He was very productive in his first year in Jacksonville when he was the number 1 receiver.
Broken collarbone.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to Aaron Jones to the Cincinnati Bengals, but
why do you do this?
Not Keenan Allen. Not Keenan Allen.
What? Why are we trashing Chase Brown, Adam?
I think Chase Brown's kind of small, and I think I wouldn't be surprised if they.
But you're putting guys going like Najee Harris and Aaron Jones going there that these guys are going to command some level of salary that I don't think the Bengals are going to be able to spend once they re-sign all these other guys.
Is a 30-year-old running back going to command more than $5 million?
But that's not something the Bengals need. Like they'll just go draft a guy on day 3, or just keep Zach Moss.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, I can run down a list of like 7 running backs.
Right, fine.
Get
Aaron Jones to the.
That's some sounds, boy.
Oh boy.
Rough.
Aaron Jones to the Patriots.
That's realistic.
It is.
I mean, wouldn't shock me if they wanted to upgrade over Ramondre,
who they benched at the end of the year for fumbling.
Yeah.
I would just assume they'd go in a younger direction if they were going to do that.
I mean, look, okay, so you could make that case that Aaron Jones is not going anywhere because every single team could just draft a younger running back.
Okay, what about the Steelers let Najee go and they replace him with Aaron Jones?
Again, realistic.
Yeah, fine. And what do they do with Jaylen Warren?
They use him with Aaron Jones.
Oh, I don't like that at all.
I love it for Jaylen Warren.
Yeah, I kind of do too.
Deontay Johnson to the Cowboys.
Oh, that'll work out. That'll be harmonious.
Why?
Because Deontay Johnson wore out his welcome with 3 teams in like 5 days.
So he's just not going to go anywhere?
He's going to take some cheap deal somewhere, and he's just got to make sure that he's, we don't know the real story, but we're just assuming that he just was kind of bratty and that the coaches had enough of it and they all let him go.
All right,
he's got to change his attitude.
He just got signed by the Cowboys, so how is it affecting your ranking?
He might be a late round pick.
I just want to remind everybody, Deontay Johnson, weeks 1 and 2 was horrible, and then they benched Bryce Young. Next 4 games, he was unstoppable. He scored, I think, 19 or more PPR fantasy points in 3 of the next 4 games with Dalton. Then week 7 came. Carolina quarterbacks threw for 87 yards in a blowout loss, 40-7 loss at Washington, and then he got traded. But he actually showed that he could still be a productive player. So, I don't want to completely discount Deontay Johnson. He's kind of like a little free agent sleeper.
Right. Everything about him from the neck down is fine. It's the neck up that teams are going to be worried about him.
Well, you just wonder, like, if not playing in Baltimore, then he tried to force his way out, and then just everything that happened after that.
I had no idea what happened there. Obviously, it wasn't great. All right, next up, Deebo Samuel to Pittsburgh.
Good luck.
And we'll say Russell Wilson's their quarterback.
He'll have a
I
few
won't be
good
drafting
games.
Deebo Samuel.
He'd probably still average. What did he average last year? 5 targets per game, maybe a couple carries.
You dropping T. Higgins? I mean, sorry, George Pickens. You dropping George Pickens?
Not at all.
No, but I don't have Pickens as high as the other guys do.
So, Jamie, you think Debo's just done being fantasy relevant? Or, fantasy must start?
Yep.
Okay. Zach Ertz to the Saints.
Love Ben Sinnott.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah. All right.
No real reason to be excited about Ertz, even after the year that he had.
Okay. Dave gave me this list of 3 rankings. Rank these scenarios. There's that word again. Rank these scenarios. Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh, Aaron Rodgers to the Rams, Aaron Rodgers to the Raiders.
I'm glad you're doing this.
Yeah, they're good.
Rams, Raiders, Steelers.
Ooh. I'd be tempted to flip-flop Steelers and Raiders.
Man, the Steelers
Really got to see what the running backs look like on the Raiders and the Steelers.
Steelers are so boring. They've just been so boring. Oh,
I don't think him going to Pittsburgh helps his fantasy value. I don't think it changes the fantasy value for anybody there.
all right. T. Higgins back to the Bengals. T. Higgins to New England. T. Higgins to Washington.
Bengals, Washington,
Wow.
Patriots.
I'd put Patriots over the Commanders, but they'd both be not as good as T staying in Cincy.
Jamie, why would you put the Commanders over the Patriots for Higgins?
Because I think Jaden Daniels is a better passer than Drake May right now.
It's interesting. I really think Drake May could just put up better passing numbers, even if Daniels is a better passer, obviously with just being a mobile quarterback that's going to run more. May runs, I know, but I feel like Drake May could out-throw him next year, and he is just so clearly the number 1 guy. That's a
fair point. You know who would have been 3rd in rushing yards based on their per game average?
Drake May.
Yep.
Yeah, Drake May, who averaged almost a record yards per carry, absolutely insane yards per carry for a quarterback. It wasn't almost a record, but that was the only thing I can think of to illustrate how crazy it was. All right, Devontae Adams in Green Bay, Devontae Adams in New Orleans, Devontae Adams in Buffalo.
Sorry, what was it again?
Adams to the Packers, Adams to the Saints, Adams to the Bills.
Bills, Packers, Saints.
Yeah.
If Adams goes to the Bills, what round does he get drafted in?
5.
His ADP will be higher than that. He'll be a 4th rounder.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll be a 3rd rounder if he goes to the Bills, but not for us. I just that would be fun. Let's see how
It could be crazy good. Like you have to admit there's upside for Adams to still see a lot of targets in that offense, and for him to get open on scramble plays with Josh Allen, like that's something Devontae Adams can still do. He can still win in the red zone. He could actually be fantastic there, but it would take the commitment from Buffalo to up the pass attempts for Josh Allen from week to week.
Well, that's all I got for this free agent frenzy. Thanks for. I'm glad you hopped on, Jamie.
Thanks, man.
All right,
I
bye.
wanted to hear you talk about Dan's shirt.
Dude, he's ripped. I'm telling you, too much upper body. It's just, I'm gonna kill him this summer. I'm gonna crush him.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I'm not. But I think
that was fast.
I think I can beat him. I think. Oh, we got a picture of him accepting the award.
Let's see this.
All right, it's loading.
Is he as buff as me?
Like my
that's
internet this
what I want to know.
Yeah, YouTube.com/fantasy football today. YouTube.com/fantasy football today. I'm gonna just kill. There he is. Oh yeah, no, the picture of him. Can I send you the picture of him accepting the award?
How do you think that that's buff?
No,
I mean,
the
it's
picture of
not
him
like
accepting
he's
the award.
chubby.
The picture of him accepting the award is definitely
That is not a buff human being.
looking swollen.
In shape, sure.
All right. Well,
That's not buff. That's not the stuff. And the girls have definitely had enough.
all right, fine. Well, I'm gonna beat him anyway. We'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody, and stay tuned for FFT Express if you're on YouTube right now. For Jamie and Dave, I'm Adam. Adios.